Welcome everyone, including members of the public, to today's Orange County Economic Recovery Task Force Business Readiness Working Group. Today is Friday, May 8th, and we are convening our meeting number 8. To all of our working group members, we've got a busy agenda today. Here in just a moment, we'll call the roll as we always do. We'll ascertain whether or not we have public comment, and if we do, we'll get that read into the record so that we hear from members of the public. Then we'll ask for, of course, an approval of the minutes of our last meeting. And then we get to the meat of our meeting today. We've got a number of presentations that will allow us as working group members to be best informed. First up, we have our very own Venezia Brown from Walmart Inc. I know many of us are looking forward to hearing from Venezia and her expertise and what Walmart has seen as it has remained open and what it is seeing from a supply chain standpoint. I know that she will provide great context to us today. And then she will be followed by our very own Stacy Papp. Stacy, a successful local businesswoman, has got multiple locations in various municipalities throughout Orange County. And I think from that perspective will provide great context as to what it looks like to reopen as a small businesswoman across multiple units in Orange County and multiple municipalities and her challenges and successes thus far. Finally, today, we have two representatives from Disaster Management Group who specialize in the production of PPE, and they have, during this pandemic, expanded their business model and perhaps have other expertises as well that they will share with us from a standpoint of being a subject matter expert. Then we'll have a period of open discussion today. That open discussion will center around today being able to ensure that as we head into the home stretch next week, that we have all of our industry types covered that we have not yet heard from, that we have gathered and discussed and thought about and ensured that the resources that we have both from our speakers and our industry types are collated and put into a proper place, and that information disseminated out to our small and medium-sized businesses and to the public so that we share that information as a resource and play a role in rebuilding consumer confidence. And then we'll also have today, as we always do, next steps, and we'll look forward throughout the meeting, as we always do, to toggling back and forth between Madam Chairwoman Deborah Linden and others. So with that, I will turn the meeting over to Madam Chairwoman for a roll call.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will now take a roll call of the members. Please announce if you're present. Please remember to unmute your phone or your computer speaker. We'll start with Conrad Santiago, the Trentham Santiago Group. Good morning. Florencio Larry Rodriguez, Don Julio's Mexican Kitchen. Is Florencio with us? Hey, Jerry Ross. National...
Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Okay. Jerry Ross, National Entrepreneur Center. Jerry? Hey, John Newstreet, Kissimmee Osceola County Chamber of Commerce.
Present.
Mary Chow, MC Spa and Nail Spa.
Good morning, Prison.
Good morning. Mike Vandelabille, Mosaic Hair Studio.
Good morning, present.
Good morning. Venezia Brown, Walmart.
Present. Good morning.
Good morning. Pamela Neighbors, Career Source. Is Pam with us?
And Chairwoman, she's just having a hard time getting on. I'm going to get her the info, so she'll be here soon.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Chris Earl, United Safety Council. Chris? Okay, Johnny Rivers Grill and Market. Pastor Roderick Zach, Rejoice in the Lord Ministries and African American Council of Christian Clergy. Pastor Zach with us?
Present.
Thank you. And Stacy Papp, Bay Hill Jewelers Group. Thank you. So Andrea Westerman is with us, our Chief Innovative and Emerging Technology Officer and Staff Lead. from the county, along with other county staff and the Orlando Economic Partnership staff. So I will turn this back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Deborah, this is Jerry Ross. I just joined.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. So noted.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. In an effort to comply with the CDC social distancing guidelines and for the safety of residents and task force members, the Business Readiness Working Group will conduct meetings virtually. Orange County remains committed to providing an alternative platform for residents to have the opportunity to submit their public comment. I will ask Orange County staff to read the public comments we received online and add it to the public record. Please note public comments received that do not include the required information will not be read. Comments that extend beyond the set time limit will not be read in their entirety. However, the resident's entire comment will be entered into the public record. Please note that the time allocated to each individual for public comment via online submission may be reduced from the normal 3 minutes based on the number of speakers. With that, Lucas, sir, do we have any public comments for the Business Readiness Working Group?
No, sir, there are no public comments for this specific working group today. We did want to acknowledge, though, that Pamela Neighbors is joined us.
Thank you, Lucas, and thank you for notifying us that there are no public comments today. With that, let's move into the approval of minutes. The minutes have been distributed to the members for review. Do we have any changes to the minutes? Seeing and hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Moved. This is Pam.
I believe Pam so moved.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second, John.
Second, Mike. Vanderbilt.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor of approving the minutes, please indicate so by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. We'll show the minutes being approved unanimously. Now to the next item on our agenda, and really the start of what I know will be 3 great presentations today. I think all 3 presentations will add significant content to this working group's body of knowledge. It will stimulate a good discussion, and I think ultimately provide additional resources so that we can disseminate those resources out to small and medium-sized businesses in the public throughout Orange County. First up today, I'd like to introduce Venezia Brown, one of our very own working group members, who is the Director of Public Affairs and Government Relations for Walmart, Inc. As we all know, the world's largest retailer. Welcome, Venezia. We look forward to hearing from you today.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. I want to first thank Mayor Demings for asking me to serve with this esteemed group, and also thank you, co-chairs, for allowing me to present to the Business Readiness Working Group today. As you mentioned, I represent Walmart, and I've been with the company for almost 8 years, and I serve in the capacity as the Director of Public Affairs and Government Relations. So what I thought I'd do today is just speak to you on behalf of Walmart, share with you how we are responding to the coronavirus and how it's impacted our business and the retail industry as a whole, and then tell you a little bit about what Walmart has done to incorporate best practices in response to the ever-changing environment of COVID-19. I will start by saying that much of the information that I'm sharing today is available to everyone in the public at our corporate website. If you look up Walmart Here For You, you'll find all of the actions that Walmart has taken, whether it's our corporate giving to our day-to-day response to improving our business for our customers and associates. So certainly want to reference that because that is a dynamic website that we are updating regularly. As you might have mentioned, as you might anticipate and expect, and as I mentioned before, things are changing daily, and what was true last week is certainly not consistent with what's true today. So with that, I think it's important for you to know that we have over 340 retail units and over 100,000 employees in the state of Florida. So as we look across our business, I think it's important to recognize that there's a distinction to be made between retailers operating as an essential business versus non-essential. And since some of that is changing, my information is still true to what has occurred to date, but I think that's important for you to know. And obviously, I will share the perspective from the essential business side, as we have continued operations throughout the over the last several months, and obviously throughout coronavirus. But I will say also that as an essential business, Walmart continues to remain focused on the health and safety of our associates and our customers. We're continuing to implement extensive measures to help keep the stores clean and safe, and obviously putting our customers and associates at the top of that priority list. And to that end, we're very grateful for all of those associates that are coming to work every day and doing their best to make a difference and serve you, our customers. So our best practices, our stores and our associates play an important role in our communities, and obviously our customers depend on us to be there, whether there's an actual or perceived emergency. And so it's important for us and incumbent upon us to make sure that the safety and security of everyone who is in our building and working with us, whether you're a customer, a supplier, or associates, are all being considered as we institute these practices. So here's how we're prioritizing health and safety for our customers and our associates. You may know some of this information, but I'll just go through it. We've installed plexiglass barriers, which are also known as sneeze guards, at all of our checkout lanes and pharmacy areas. We've installed floor decals in stores both at the entrances and throughout the checkout lanes, making it easier for customers to know what that 6-foot social distancing requirement looks like. We are taking the temperatures of our associates as they report to work in the stores and the clubs and facilities, and we're asking them some basic healthcare questions. Should the associate have a fever of 100 or more, similar to what the doctors have prescribed to us, we are asking them to return home until they are feeling better or fever-free for a period of time. We've also created a COVID-19 emergency leave policy as a company to help support those employees who have had to return home in those circumstances. We are requiring our associates to wear a mask or other face coverings at work, and encouraging customers and members to wear face coverings while they shop in our stores and clubs. And when I say clubs, I should have mentioned at the top, I'm talking about Sam's Club. We are making key services like payment and pickup and delivery completely contact-free. And as you might imagine, the grocery pickup and the delivery services are really the primary focus for many of our customers these days. In fact, we've seen a 1/3 increase of all of our customers have moved to that contact-free delivery or grocery pickup strategy. We are limiting the number of customers who can shop in the store at the same time. It is 20% of our capacity. That is less than what some of the local ordinances have required, but we think it's a safe amount for us and allows us to manage the crowds. We've adjusted our operating hours from 7 a.m. to 8:30 to help associates restock the shelves while continuing to clean and sanitize the store through the evening. We've enacted a deep cleaning and sanitizing protocol with guidance from the CDC and Walmart's chief medical officer. And those are all practices that I know a lot of other retailers who have been deemed essential have instituted. All of these measures are intended to help bring peace of mind, and that's what we're doing every day to make sure that people understand what we're doing and our commitment to the customer. And again, we obviously are adapting and changing some of our strategies as you might imagine. If there's a state executive order, local executive orders that are requiring different adjustments to some of those ideas that we have already implemented. By the way, these strategies are not just local to Florida. They are the strategies that we have implemented nationally. So they should all be very consistent in the application. And then lastly, I would just mention that I know our chair has asked questions about supply chain. We're seeing lots of different circumstances in different areas of the business. And so it's hard to speak globally in terms of the supply chain when it comes to Walmart and all of the products that we provide. But I can give you some highlights. Our Walmart US CEO yesterday, John Furner, had the opportunity to speak to MSNBC and talked about some of these things that I think are just interesting facts and certainly probably good for folks here to just have perspective on. So as we talk about, where the supply chain is working, I'm sure you'd be surprised to know that a lot of the health and fitness and hobby areas of the business have grown tremendously. Very difficult to find a bike these days. Yoga, weightlifting equipment, that's flying out the door. And as you think about those kind of products, fishing equipment, by the way, is almost down to the bare bones in many of our stores. So as you think about what that means for the future, if people are purchasing those items now, again, it's going to be similar to, when we went through the toilet paper run, products are being developed based on the need and the demand. So now that demand has increased. So we'll probably see a slowing of those products being available for a period of time, but certainly it will pick back up as manufacturers begin to really produce those items to meet the current demand. We've all heard about the meat packing plants. We know that the closure of those plants is going to impact that supply chain. We are certainly anticipating that will have an impact for a period of time, but it is unknown. And as you all well know, much of this is very unpredictable. So as we are anticipating how we are handling supply chain, we're utilizing all of our best resources to find the right people who can speak on behalf of our supply chain, but also talk to us about what we can anticipate in terms of those plants getting up and running, what kind of time it takes for them to get back up and running, and then how long the supply chain will take to get back to 100%. I know that there are other folks from that side of the business who are also speaking publicly about what they think the impact will be. And they're looking at certainly 6 to 8 months down the line before things get closer to normal. There's a couple of other items that I'll just mention. Dry goods, food that are more non-perishable items, bread, cereals, things like that. We're seeing those items come back. So as you're shopping in your stores, we expect, at least certainly in our stores, but I imagine that's true for other retailers like us, you should start seeing those shelves full again, and we expect to continue to see that moving, trending in that direction. Paper goods have been one of those priority items that people have asked questions about. Again, the quantities may not be exactly what a customer is looking for. The brand might not be exactly what a customer is looking for, but we are seeing those items come back and certainly expect over the next couple of months to see that back at a more normal amount of quantity in the store. And then lastly, I know one of the biggest ones that people are asking about, and certainly I got up this morning and ran to 3 stores to try to find hand sanitizer. And that's hand sanitizer and those disinfectant products are coming back. You should start seeing those. We're certainly seeing them in our stores and in others. So I think, again, the supply chain is kind of an ebb and flow based on a lot of what's happening in the environment at that time. And Walmart is not immune to those impacts, but we are continuing to prioritize being open and available to our customers. And that summarizes my report.
Thank you very much, Monisha, for sharing all of your expertise and your experience at Walmart. I know that I'm certain that our working group members found that very insightful. And as we often do when we've got multiple speakers, if it pleases you, we'll hold all questions and discussion and comment until all 3 have presented.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Monisha. Madam Co-Chair, I believe you're going to introduce our next guest speaker.
Oh, okay. I'm happy to do it. Stacy Papp, who I have known for a while. Actually, I don't have a bio. Stacy, you probably could do a better job yourself of letting us know your history, and but certainly a prominent businesswoman in our community, and we're certainly thrilled to have you part of our working group. So let me turn it over to you, Stacy.
Thank you. Thank you, Deborah and Doug. I appreciate both of you inviting me to be on this wonderful group of leaders and to give perspective on small business. I'm Stacy Papp, for those of you that I have not met, and I am the founder of Bay Hill Jewelers Group. We have 3 locations, one in Dr. Phillips that's been there for 17 years, one in Winter Park on Park Avenue that's been there for about 8 years, and our newest location, which is downtown Orlando, right on Orange Avenue across from the Plaza Movie Theater. So 3 wonderful locations, and I'm also the founder of the Bridges of Light Foundation, which works to give mentorship and personal tutoring to at-risk children in our community. And most importantly, all of the children at Great Oaks Village. We have been there for 17 years, giving them private tutors after school every day. And we pay for and raise money for the summer project, which is basically just summer education and fun. We partner with all the other schools in town, Trinity Prep and the colleges, to make sure that the kids get a really great summer education series. So interesting, because I work in both spectrums. I work in the luxury industry, but also in the streets with our children that are most in need. So I've seen this situation really impact people in different ways. And I'm happy to share a little bit about what we've done as a small business to be a leader and kind of help other small businesses follow suit and stay on track with what's happening throughout the nation and overseas. So we all know that the phases are going to come where people are going to come back and go to things that are really in need and then go where they feel safe. So we have 2,000 square foot locations, so a little bit smaller. And from a safety perspective, it's easy to maintain because we've created a small area in the front of the stores with disposable masks and gloves and a nice pleasant note asking people to grab one on their way in. So clients come in, they come in to buy, they come in to appraise, they come in to repair, they come in for watch repairs. On average, we get 30 to 40 clients a day. So there is often more than 10 people in the store. So the gloves are really important. They're an important safety factor in our business, but so is the experience. And having a luxury jewelry store and taking away from the experience by covering your face has been a little bit challenging. The guests want to touch and feel the pieces as part of that experience. So our solution is simple. We keep 2 trays in front of us at all times, and we allow people to try everything on and enjoy that experience. But we're all masked, and the client can take off their gloves, but we have a clean tray and then a used tray. So once they try on all of the jewelry, we move it to the non-clean tray, and we basically take it into a private room, and we have ultrasonic cleaners and steamers, and we just make sure we steam everything before it goes back into the showcase. We offer that service to all healthcare workers in the community. The first 2 weeks that this happened, we were closed for healthcare workers only, and they all brought in their jewelry and had it steamed, cleaned, polished, and we placed it all in sealed baggies so they could put it away until this pandemic is over, and then they can take it back out and actually enjoy it and wear it. Most retail shops have a lot of glass, so sanitizing the store after each guest is mandatory, and we're actually assigning people each day to our clients' safety and the safety of our staff. So that's their main responsibility for the day, is making sure that everyone is safe, making sure that people are putting on the mask when they come in and really holding to that standard. I think that's important. We have had serious discussions on handling reduced capacity and the 6-foot spacing rules. Keeping guests 6 feet apart during a very personal presentation is complicated. So like I said, we have to keep the masks on. The best way to do that is to schedule our clients' meetings virtually. So we've gone to a virtual first meeting, and we have that communication with them to build the relationship, let them see our face, let them see our smile, and we prepare for their appointments. Everything is ordered in advance, prepared, placed on a showing tray, which keeps the appointments timely and efficient without feeling impersonal. And it gives us the amount of time that we need to book the proper appointments and space our guests out and try to keep to that 10 or under in our stores. We also offer text chat on our website, which allows us to prepare and really gives us time to go back and forth with the client and get to know them a little bit. And we've had that now for about a year. So we've had delivery and we've had text chat in place. So for us, it's been something that we're used to. So it's working really well. But for those businesses out there who are not familiar with text chat, it is really life-changing for your business. And we're happy to provide some different vendors and manufacturers that do this and keep you connected to your clients. I think it's imperative as a small business that your website is up to date, your technology is up to date, and that you're available to your guests 24/7. I shared with our chairperson that I am in a group of national jewelers and also an international group. We are partners with Chow Tai Fook in China, and they are a massive real estate holdings company, massive retail, just giant in China. And we meet with them once a month just to talk about strategies, communication, and the comeback of our jewelry industry. And the markets that we're seeing, they're the ones that are succeeding nationwide are the ones that are creating a message for the city and really driving it home through various media platforms. The closing in Winter Park that I spoke about on Wednesday, they're shutting Winter Park down on Park Avenue for the entire day on Monday or Sunday for Mother's Day. And it's really going to allow us to share space with each other, find out the restaurant seating capacity outside and the safety measures that need to be taken and how smoothly it will go. And the fact that we're all going to be doing it together is really going to help us all kind of grow as a community and help each other. We've concentrated really heavily on the marketing message that we're in this together and to shop locally. It's really important for people to stay local right now and to help those small businesses, because even those of us who seem like we've all got it together and we're open and we're doing great, it's very challenging. We've kept all of our staff through this entire thing. And as a very small company, we had to sacrifice a lot to do that. It wasn't easy. So for us to put that message out there to please shop locally and support those people that are right in your backyard really is an important message. And we've spent the past few weeks gifting local heroes, celebrating those on the front lines in crisis that have helped people in need and trying not to forget the people that are out there risking their lives for us. We actually, right after this, we're leaving to go deliver a message to a Sanford first responder with the commissioner, and we're going to present him with one of the gifts. And we recognized a local doctor yesterday who saved a 10-year-old little girl who had a brain tumor, and it was a situation they didn't think that they could operate, and this doctor really stepped out of his comfort zone and everyone's comfort zone and saved this little girl. So we really are a philanthropic company. It's really important for us to give back. And I think when you keep that in the forefront of your business, to still give to others and always help those in need, you can't help but succeed. People will remember the people that stood up and did what was right. And lastly, with regards to retail in Asia, their digital platforms are being utilized really aggressively, driving sales outside of physical space. And advertising budgets are being reinstated, focused on digital technology and creative messaging of love and unity, allowing the opportunity to kind of sell through symbolism, which is what we do. So it's really important that we stay focused. On April 5th, our sales call reported that sales were at 50% in retail jewelry in China. And we just had our second call on Wednesday evening, and they were closer to 70%. So that gives me a glimpse into our future that we're headed in the right direction. And there's no doubt that the pandemic is going to hit us all in different ways. But I think remaining positive and building partnerships through our local community the way that you're doing today, it's really the only way to succeed is to all kind of support each other and help each other and provide resources. So I am here for any small business to partner, to help, to support. And I thank you all for including me and asking me my opinion on this subject. It means a lot, and thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. What a great presentation. Thank you for sharing some of the challenges that you faced as you've reopened or stayed open other than those 2 weeks and begin to re-engage the public. And as we did with Monesia, we'll ask our working group members to hold all questions until we hear from our third presenter today. Great job. Thank you for sharing. We look forward to interacting with you more in just a little bit. And with that, I'd like to take a moment and introduce our third group of speakers today, whose original facility was in personal protective equipment, We've got joining us today Dr. Thomas Rubio, the CEO of Disaster Management Group, along with Matt Weidman, who is the director of DMG Tests. Welcome, Dr. Rubio and Mr. Weidman.
Hey, Doug, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Doing well. Well, thanks for having us on this afternoon or this morning. So my name is Matt Weidman, local business owner. I got involved with Disaster Management Group in January. Tom Rubio and I met actually doing disaster relief in the Bahamas through Love and Life Foundation, a foundation I founded with Dick Batchelor and Tucker Toney. So disaster relief is really just a passion of both of ours. When we saw what was taking place with COVID back in January, we began to expand the capabilities of Disaster Management Group, DMG. So for the last 20 years, DMG has been a federal contractor for base camp services. This would include forward operating bases, strategic operations after hurricanes for the state of Florida. So experience in rapid disaster relief performance. So DMG received the first CDC quarantine facility contract in Miramar, Florida. Little do many people know, but that was actually on Super Bowl weekend. And since then received multiple CDC contracts for quarantine facilities coast to coast, in addition to Department of Defense work for base camps for National Guard. That really gave us an inside view into what was happening at an institutional level, both at county and state governments, as well as at the national side. So we began to spin up infrastructure internally. What do I mean by that? Technology so that patients and clinicians can interface. More robust logistics, so aircraft and trucking services here in the US. Additional technology so that for testing initiatives, for serological testing, wide-scale surveillance testing, the governments that were implementing the programs could get visibility into the extent of the outbreak real time based on geographies. So we did this with Miami-Dade County, procured the tests to roll out a surveillance program that, again, gave them visibility into the extent of where the outbreak was actually taking place. So as part of these services, PPE is a requested item. That's how Dr. Siddiqui and Landmark Medical, when we came together as a joint venture partnership, we began to procure very large scale PPE quantity for, again, institutional clients. That would include Advent Health, University of Miami, University of Mississippi. So governments, healthcare systems, and universities. For Advent alone, we brought in millions of masks, gloves, and really worked the process to create efficiency and deliver for our clients. One of our core competencies as DMG is our ability to perform and execute in disaster zones, complex supply chain management. So, this process has been a learning experience for us all, but over the last 2 or 3 months, we've developed very strong relationships with manufacturers, logistics companies, which put us in a position to deliver large-scale PPE. So as part of this conversation, we thought, I should say in our experience, what we've done is procured for institutional level. But in our personal network, we've also begun delivering for large franchise owners. So small business has not had the same access to PPE as large institutional clients have. So as part of our objective, we've been taking portions of the institutional client supply chain, procuring and delivering that supply to smaller users. So I look forward to digging in a little bit more on that with you guys today. But I think that's an area where we might be able to help Orange County is on the backbone of large institutional purchases, be able to take a portion of that and make available to small business in our county.
Thank you, Matt. I believe we've got a co-presenter for you today. I believe Dr. Siddiqui is here with you. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. I'll turn it over to Luke. I think Lucas has got the management for Dr. Siddiqui. I can see the note. Dr. Siddiqui, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
So Matt and I started working together about a month ago. By the way, great presentation, Matt. And I've had a medical supply chain amongst other businesses for since 2012, 2010 to 12. And obviously when COVID took place, I was able to use my supply chains and supply lines along with my logistics and procure and secure large amounts of PPE. I then presented to Advent Health. We went through a full vetting process with them with Deloitte, and they referred us to start procuring some of the PPE for them. We were able to get 5 million plus masks. We were able to get 13.1 million gloves. We were able to procure for them shoe covers, hair covers, face shields, almost anything and everything that you can think of. We were able to procure as their needs arose. And they wanted large quantities and they wanted it quickly. As you understand, with the political arena, it's been very difficult in obtaining PPE with China and the United States. So when we did have issues, we were able to get around those issues by going to different countries and options, along with most of our procurement now actually takes place in the United States. And this is a lot of what's been coming in through the overseas chains. Our goal would be here, Matt and I had a nice discussion last night. We talked about what we could do to help Orange County in this situation and coming up with some ideas. We thought about procuring a large amount of volume of PPE for the county and letting the county make some decisions with the small business owners on how they would like to obtain that PPE. It would probably streamline it, make it much easier for the county to make those decisions if they wanted up using us for those needs. We do have a bunch of referral sources if you need those also with Advent Health. We were supplying to all 49 of their hospitals, not just the Orlando locations, but we went all the way across to Dallas and Kansas and Georgia for those also. It is not easy procuring PPE, but we've pretty much gone through almost every single possibility that's been difficult and come out on a positive note. And as a first line responder myself, I understand how the medical necessity and needs of the public and the type of equipment they need and what we need to go through the approval process, whether it be through FDA certifications, certificate of conformities, testing. It was good to have the background of a physician to be able to understand some of the PPE equipment and what was coming through that was real and what was not real before we even got to the next level of approving it. So with that, I'll let it be and let you guys have, if you have any questions for Matt or I, to go forward.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siddiqui. We appreciate that in your comments as well as Matt's. And that concludes our three presentations today. Of course, we're going to have an opportunity now for working group members to ask any questions or of our speakers today and interact with them. I know just off the cuff, if I could start really with Monisha, and I'll kick off a question to Monisha. Monisha, you talked about with Walmart some of the changes, or many of the changes rather, that you've made, temperature checks and how you're managing your staff and all your team members, and talked a little bit, I think, about guest responsibilities. And there's quite a body of work that Walmart has developed there and expertise. Might I impose upon you to comment on how much of that could you share? I listened, it's on your corporate website, but would you be able to share that information with our working group and with the task force so that we too can cite that as resources as we look to make sure for all of our businesses here in Orange County that they have access to best practices and some of the things that you've learned.
Absolutely, Chair, 100%. I agree with you that we have to utilize these opportunities to share as much information as possible. So I've already provided quite a few documents to the team. I think those are already in the spreadsheet, but that includes industry standards from national retail organizations, national restaurant organizations, as well as some Florida organizations. So I've provided that information. And I think, frankly, as we look at how we reopen, and it's been mentioned before, a lot of the focus is going to be on making sure we instill that consumer confidence. So those documents really are, I think, great tools for the rest of businesses to use to just find some ideas and best practices that they can incorporate that, again, become more the norm and consistent across businesses, that customers feel like, again, their safety and security is the number one priority.
Thank you, Monisia, very much for your generosity and all that Walmart does in our community, and for being willing to share that information with us. Obviously, you're a very large company, but I think the lessons that you've learned would translate well to people that don't have your resources, and that's wonderful that you're doing that. I think we've got a question. Lucas, can you address that, sir?
Yes, sir. I believe Conrad Santiago has a question. I can read it for him if he would like, but I can also read it from the chat too.
I don't mind asking it, and this is more to the two retailers. And thank you for your presentations. They've been wonderful and very informative. As it relates to dealing with customers, can you share what have been some of the biggest challenges you have faced?
I'm happy to answer that question. One big challenge that we faced is security. The masks at the door, and then the dark sunglasses, and then a hat. We found it to be a major security issue. So we've rallied the security team and met with the Orlando Police Department to discuss it a little bit further and how to take precautions so that criminals aren't taking advantage of the situation that we're in. So that's been a big one. And what we've decided is that all guests must take the mask off before entering so that their face is captured on camera and then they can place it on afterwards. So that the security issues actually diminish, I think, because, you know, plenty of people are coming to our stores are obviously in need. I mean, they're there for their essential items. And we've been fortunate to be able to work with the local law enforcement. And I think that's a great example of how we can, again, another great practice is to bring in the local law enforcement. And, they're great partners, advise them what we're doing, how we're doing things, and they're always there and they're great supporters. I would say from a Walmart perspective, our biggest challenge has been, because we have so many sites, is the executive orders that are inconsistent and the ordinances that are being created in a lot of times, a lot of circumstances, very short notice. As a company like ours, I like to think about it as a, depending on county lines, and in some cases, state lines.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Staying with the group discussion with both retailers, I wonder if both of the retailers might comment and share with the working group, Walmart designated by Governor DeSantis as confidence or public confidence, really across two lines. Number one, their willingness to re-engage and come into a store. And I know as an essential business, Walmart never lacked that opportunity. And also a willingness to actually spend money. If both of the retailers could address that, I think that would be instructive to the working group.
I just didn't want to step forward. So I'll speak first if you don't mind. So from our perspective, we really noticed that people were dying to get into the store to actually purchase engagement rings. And I think that this is such a crisis and people have really come together. There's been a lot of self-reflecting. There's been a lot of bonding, and there's been a lot of people that have taken their relationship to the next level. So for us, there's a really deep appreciation for those loved ones in your life. The engagements are number one, the Mother's Day gifts, the graduate gifts, especially because think of all these students that aren't getting to walk this year, and even the younger kids that can't cross over the bridge to the middle school or cross over the bridge to the high school. There's a lot of emotion going on, and jewelry is a really beautiful conduit to show that emotion to someone. So we are finding that people were really banging down the door to get in, and we were trying to be respectful of the rules and let, you know, the businesses that needed to be open. So the minute that we opened for private appointments, we started to fill up those spots. And it's been a really nice thing to see that people are coming out and getting gifts, whether they be $50 or $5,000. They're really appreciating those people around them. And so we've seen a good response from that.
I would say from the large retailer perspective, you see more customers that are focusing on, and again, because we're having to meter as customers come into our store, we're seeing customers come in with specific lists, and they're certainly paying attention to their spend. And brands and certainly identifying brands that are less expensive. But I think the consumer confidence piece of that is, you know, as the customers are coming in and they know, I think to Stacy's point, they know what they're looking for, they're glad to be out, and they feel like they're going into places where they can be safe and they're being taken care of. And I think we're all trying to figure out how to meet them where they are, but I know whether it's signage, whether it's the metering, the one-on-one interaction to help advise them and educate them on the changes, I think it's making a huge difference.
Thank you both very much. I see that Pam's got a question, and I can see that Dr. Siddiqui answered it, but Pam, would you just put that out to all of us kindly?
Sure. You know, businesses really need disinfectant wipes too, and I believe those are still in quite a shortage. They're not appearing. I know Monisha did mention she was seeing some of the disinfectant products come back, but in terms of being able to continually keep locations clean, disinfectant wipes are going to be really important for business. I was wondering about Matt or Dr. Siddiqui status on those.
So can you guys hear me? So with the procurement, we did a huge bulk purchase for Advent Health, and it's actually their largest provider for their wipes, and we were getting them a product called Cavi wipes. You'll see it very commonly in the medical and dental offices. It has a high grade disinfectant rate, a very fast kill time on COVID. There are some other products out there that are very good. Now, what's happened as a result, the Cavi wipes and these other wipes are technically not on shortage. What's happening is the cost is going up, as you can imagine. The quantities are still there, but they're now selling large bulk amounts to everybody. They don't want to sell the few for the small business owner, and that's where I think I see where you guys are having issues. But they want to sell the large amounts of 2,500 to 5,000 canisters to 10,000 canisters. Each canister usually has around 160 wipes in it. So what I would do is work backwards based on the number of wipes that you need and the quantity, and then you can calculate how many canisters you may need for the next 6 months, for example. And then that should help come up with a guideline for every business out there on how much your real needs are, because a lot of people want to buy them and constantly wipe, but you may not need them as much because, for example, Cavi wipes last for 8 hours. So if that's your business hours, in 8 hours, you wipe once a day, and you may need only a few wipes for that day. And I know everybody's hoarding and buying a lot of large quantities, but there is plenty out there. And if you need help, I'll be more than happy to guide you as to where to get them, or we can help you procure those for all if you need to.
Yeah, Madam Chair and Chair, I don't know if that is a need, similar to what small businesses were experienced for masks or the disinfectant hand sanitizer, but it could be something that maybe county staff look at after the distribution of the first PPE goes out if that is a need from our small businesses. I just think, that you see them everywhere in every store. And I think about all of we've been talking about picking up product and touching. And so, that is something that I've heard from some businesses.
So noted, Pam. I think a great comment as well. And even when we still go into some of our mass consumer retailers and we walk down that aisle where we typically see those wipes, we see that in some instances, the aisles are completely bare. So there are certainly still are supply chain issues for many small and medium-sized businesses. Absolutely noted. I've got a follow-up question, if I might, to Dr. Siddiqui. In your initial presentation, you took note of, for companies such as yours, that you were moving some of your sourcing from China back to the United States, and even made a comment that many of your masks now are being acquired in the U.S. I wonder if you could share with us two things. Number one, has that been 100% successful in terms of a replacement rate for you? And number two, how, as a larger acquirer of those masks, could you step us through how ultimately small and medium-sized businesses might best avail themselves of this new sourcing that you're providing?
Sure. Thanks, Doug. So what happened was about 2.5 weeks ago to 3 weeks ago, when the political arena took place, and China stopped shipping out a lot of PPE, and especially masks was the number one thing. The reason they were doing that was for other reasons, as obvious. But as a result, that made a bottleneck effect. And what winded up happening was there winded up suppliers that were in the United States started showing up, because now there's a larger quantity, but it came with a caveat. And the caveat was that the price was going to be a little higher. So what winded up coming down was our shipping costs domestically and overseas. And what went up going up in price was the price of the mask. And as a result, we were still able to fulfill those orders. So people that were hoarding these materials or have items that were coming in, for example, by ship, because the shipping industry was not affected from Malaysia, South Korea, and Hong Kong, as it was from Shanghai and China. The Shanghai biggest issue that we found was the flights coming out of there. So what everybody started doing was sending stuff on the ship. It may take 22 days to get over here, but everything started rolling in at once. And as a result, it was probably one of the better decisions that were made. In the United States, there are huge suppliers. There are large individual retailers that are purchasing large quantities. It's just a matter of finding them and getting out to them. And we were able to get to them, find them. And their price points were, as I mentioned, were a little higher, but it was worth it. We were able to still procure and supply the needs that we initially sought out to obtain. One of the other comments I wanted to make, and this is something that Walmart, for example, or the local businesses, the jewelers and so forth, may want to consider is, when we walk into a hospital right now, every time I go to the hospital, I still have to go through the same entrance, and I have to get a non-infrared scan with a thermometer, a digital thermometer, when I walk into the building. So they still scan me on my forehead to check my temperature before letting me in. And it may be something these small businesses and even Walmart, because you guys are much bigger, want to consider doing as a staff member. And you're actually providing a service to the community by doing that. As these individuals walk in, if they're sick or they have a temperature, I would not let them inside the establishment and tell them to get evaluated by their physician or the hospital and go to the emergency room. A lot of times that is what we found is the most effective way. And when you're entering a hospital, to prevent anybody that's sick to come into that facility. And it may be a great opportunity for the small business to do the same thing, or large business for that matter.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiqui, very much. I'd ask our working group members at this time, we're at 12:24. We've got just a few minutes left. I'd give working group members one last opportunity to submit any questions to our 4 presenters today across 3 different companies. Any final questions for our presenters today?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, of course.
So, first of all, I would like to thank all of the presenters. Thank you. That was excellent discussion today, and echo Doug's comments earlier. My question is for Stacy. Stacy, you have a very good use of technology. We really haven't focused on technology, and it seems that you are probably much more high tech than many of the small to medium-sized businesses. Can you tell us a little bit more, just very briefly, did you already have this technology in place, or is this something that you've created as a result of the need? And I might even go one step further and ask if you would consider putting some information together for us that we could put out as content, because some of your comments were very good about making sure the website's up to date, the virtual meetings, the text chats, all the different uses of technology, and some very basic needs. So can you speak to that and let us know if you could put something together for us?
Yes, absolutely. First, I would be more than happy to put together any information and share with all of you. Our main marketing team is out of New York City. They're a very well-known and established company, but they're very affordable. You just have to present your plan to them and your budgets, and they'll work within those parameters. So I think having a really strong group behind you is important. And we happen to, the whole jewelry industry uses one group. So I'm certain that we have a team, most likely downtown, that we can also utilize and put on that information. So I'll contact some of our partners that are in the area locally that I can share as well. And then to your question about did we use this system and this platform before? Yes, and it was because we opened up downtown. Downtown is a very different animal for us. We've always worked with kind of a family neighborhood. So coming into a business district was new. We made a lot of mistakes. So finding out from the clients downtown saying what would make life easier for you and how can we make your purchasing easier and have you shop local. And most of those people came back and said, well, if you had something that we could get to you really quickly, and yes, people have my phone number, but you can't always get me. So we decided to put it all online, and we respond. We tell you we respond within 24 hours, but usually we respond within an hour. We have 3 of us that are on it 24 hours a day. So unless it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, you're going to get a response from us. Like I said, very reasonable, great pricing. It's something that any local business can most likely afford. You just take away somewhere else that maybe isn't as necessary and you put it into that. So we've been, I'd say about 1 year and 1 month we've been doing this, and it's really helped us build partnerships downtown, build corporate partnerships where the company will call us and say, we need 17 gifts for employees. Here's our price range. Here's this. We text chat the information right back to them, and they can just answer us over the phone and we can deliver it. So in most cases, they don't even need to come to the store.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Right. Do we have any other questions? No, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman. Thanks very much to our presenters, Manisha, Stacy, Dr. Siddiqui, Matt, all wonderful presentations and really sharing your knowledge with us today so that we can better serve the public, better serve our small and medium-sized business community. We've reached, even though we've been in the discussion for a portion of our meeting today, I'd like to call on Andrea Westerman at this time. Andrea's got an important update that she needs to make to the working group. Andrea, are you on the call?
Yes, thanks, Chairman. I just wanted to get everybody on the same page about what's happening with the county's PPE distribution. I know Carrie's been on the call the whole time, so as always, Carrie, really appreciate you. And so in a nutshell, here's what we'd like to ask from the task force group. You'll see an email from me. Actually, we're going to ask the full task force for help, but it originates with this group. In that we're going to have a pretty much a collateral kit, a marketing kit, if you will. If you could please share this with your networks, certainly with the chambers that you're part of, the Main Street districts that you're part of, Jerry's group at the National Entrepreneurship Center, and all of your resource partners. We just need to get this information out. So in the next few hours, you'll get an email from me with all of the details on how the distribution is going to work. Again, these are 1 per district, very similar to how we do hurricane supply outreach and providing supplies. It's a drive-through site, and all of the details on how companies can fill out an interest form what they need to do to go pick up those kits starting Monday, but all the way to Friday. So each day is going to have a certain ration, if you will, at each of the 6 locations. They'll all be open starting Monday. You'll see all those details shortly today. So we're just asking for your help in disseminating, getting that information out, certainly today and over the weekend. Carrie, is there anything I missed that you just want to chime in about?
Andrea, was that to me? It broke up there for a moment.
I was just seeing if Carrie Mathis wanted to chime in.
Oh, I'm here. Thank you. No, I think you covered it pretty well, Andrea. Obviously available if you have any questions, but I think your overview was comprehensive.
Well, and thank you, Carrie, for everything you've done from the minute you sourced all this and started kitting it to just how you've helped with locations. And so, I just want everybody to know Carrie's been one of the major players to get all this done in a very short turnaround. So you're very appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Happy to help the group.
Thanks for letting us share.
Thank you, Andrea and Carrie, both, and really more broadly, all the efforts of all the many staff at Orange County government under the leadership of Mayor Jerry Demings. Really remarkable work that Orange County government is doing to better resource small and medium-sized businesses. If I could direct our working group members' attention actually to the next slide, Andrea, if you wouldn't mind, for discussion on our outstanding industry resources. And I want to just preview next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And as you look at the slide in front of you and the white fields, funerary services, landscaping firms, and/or suppliers, auto dealers, and mechanic shops, and we'll go to the smaller event venues, movie theaters, golf courses, fitness organizations, and/or gyms. We still need and would request of our working group members additional contacts and resources so that we really flesh out all of our industry types across Orange County. So we're beseeching our working group members for all of the available resources that you have. Please email or call Andrea Westerman. These are items that have been important parts of our first 7 days. This is our 8th day of meetings that we want to make certain that for the small and medium-sized businesses in these industries that we resource them as well as we have resourced, retailers and restaurants and dental practices and the many other small retailers, the many other industry types that we have resourced thus far, salons and spas. So next week, Monday, you'll hear a full suite about home services, services that literally are provided that come into our home. On Tuesday, addressing other needs that working group members have discussed. Again, as we head into the home stretch, we'll have additional to Carrie and to Andrea, we will have Orange County staff talk to us about other resources that could be available to the small and medium-sized business community. And they will be joined by representatives from the city of Orlando, which we certainly, as many of us do business in the city of Orlando and in the county of Orange, we welcome city staff. On Wednesday of next week, we will have child care facilities. And on Thursday, we will cover smaller event venues to include nightclubs and lounges. And then on Friday, we will have a representative from West Orange County Chamber of Commerce as well. We're hopeful for John Newstreet to make a couple of comments. And we'll have a CRA representative and some Main Street representatives as we try to really finish out resourcing well all of the industry types in Orange County, as well as helping members finalize a suite of recommendations about how to share the resources that we've developed most broadly throughout our community so that our small and medium-sized businesses and our public know the resources that are available as we attempt not only to reopen, but to reopen safely, and in reopening safely to build consumer confidence. So in closing on my remarks there, please, on the highlighted white areas, if you think you have resources there, we would love to hear from you. I know, John, I haven't met you until this working group, but I know you've got extensive resources in Osceola County. We talked about that yesterday. We really look forward to getting, if we haven't already, some resources from you, and we thank you in advance for doing that and for all the contribution that you've had on this working group. And with that, at 12:34, and I know we're over time, I'd like to turn the meeting back over to our Madam Co-Chair for next steps.
Okay, thank you very much. Doug, you summarized what all the different resources and the meeting resources for next week. But our priority right now is to get this website up, and that'll be the priority for next week. As Mr. Chairman said, we certainly want to continue to gather content. Andrea, of course, has been extremely busy with this PPE, and I do want to, again, say thank you so much to Andrea, Carrie, and all of the staff. It's been a remarkable job in putting this whole program together. We do need the members to focus on that. You'll be receiving this email from Andrea later today to help her disseminate that out into your own resources. So that certainly is an important next step. We also want to look at posting of the executive order. We had a conversation with Georgiana on that yesterday. As we mentioned, there are many different governing authorities providing information. We need to have all of this information in one place. So it would be helpful if we could have a very clear and concise one area that includes certainly the mayor's executive order, but anything else that is pertinent. One of the orders one of the comments in the executive order says that safety guidelines issued by CDC and OSHA. So again, so that our businesses don't have to go looking at all these different governmental authorities and pulling all this information, we need to pull all that into one place. And certainly to know if there are any additional mandates that are not already in the executive order that would pertain. And then to Mike's point yesterday, the county and the various municipalities are lessening the zoning, but they're not the same. They're to a different degree. So to the extent that we can get some information, Doug, you mentioned that we've got the Orange County coming in Tuesday, right? So that would be a conversation that we could have for them. We may want to certainly want to make a recommendation that the website and the resource explains that there are differences if there are any, but we also may want to actually make the recommendation to Orange County that, you know, maybe we can make them more similar. But that'll be a conversation we can have on Tuesday and see how far they might be willing to go. It would be helpful if they were aware of all the different municipalities and the differences they very well may be. And Georgiana mentioned yesterday also just a few more quick points. The reopening guidance, I did look at that, and that only pertains to outdoor seating, tents, and signage. But it's a nice document, and this document that we could expand upon with the executive order and some of the other information. It was also mentioned that there's FAQs on that page, and I pulled that up, and those only pertain to Governor DeSantis's executive order. So again, we need some FAQs for Orange County as well. Certainly the PPE, posting the basic PPE guidance and videos. We do have some of those videos and the Orlando Health link. All of that will be on this site. The certain industry protocols, as Mr. Chairman just requested, people providing more of that content for us as quickly as possible. We do have a date by May 15th to have all of this by next Friday, but certainly the sooner that you could source all of this, the better. Certainly want to, and Monicia, thank you. You said you have already submitted some information, and Stacy, to the extent you can submit some of the technology information, that would be extremely helpful as well. So do we have we really don't have time for other ideas today. We could probably come back at this on Monday. So let me turn this back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'd like to thank all of the working group members and the members of the public today. It was a great discussion, a great sharing of information. I think it enriched the working group members and the task force as well. And we will make certain that we get it built out into a cogent set of standards and resources that is easily accessible. I hope everyone has a great weekend. We look forward to seeing you on Monday at 11:30 a.m. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.